of Household Consumption Expenditure Survey by Ministry of Statistics. So this survey is done every 10 years, and it is quite important because it sets the tone for setting up of weights for consumer price inflation, which is broadly what RBI targets. So broadly, the results of this survey have a direct bearing on what RBI, reaction function, because that's what largely determines the weights which go behind this CPI construction. So as we can see, broadly, this is a very intensive survey. It is done across households in rural as well as urban areas across more than 2.5 lakh households, and done at various income parameters as well as consumption parameters. So what we try to do is we try to discuss the broad parameters which have a bearing on really how growth, inflation dynamics are playing out in both the rural and urban economy. So as we can see, the consumption growth has declined between 2011-12, 2022-23. Broadly, as we can see, the CAGR for rural expenditure has grown about 9.2% compared to 13.8% for 2005-12, and for urban, it's about 8.5 compared to 13.2. I mean, these are the trends that we have seen in when we were looking at GDP as well. That largely GDP has been growing from due to high government spending as well as high manufacturing rather than consumption. Uh, Nevertheless, it's quite heartening to see that rural sector is doing relatively better. So probably the gap between the expenditure of urban and rural will kind of narrow at some point of time. More importantly, from inflation management perspective, as we can see, as households are doing better, they are becoming well off. The spending on food and beverages as a percentage of total spending has been declining. So as we can see, if you look at the right hand side of the table, the share of food, which was about 60% for rural India in 2000, has now slipped to 47.5%. Same way for urban, which was about 48% in 2000, has been steadily declining and now at 39.7. And if you look at the cereal percentage of cereal as well, it's come down drastically from for urban from 12% to 4.5%. Same way for rural, from 22.2% in 2000 to 6.92%. So this has a very positive implication on inflation. So if the current weightages of housing consumption expenditure survey were to be applied on the current inflation series, inflation could be lower by 30 to 40 basis points, assuming the current weight of rural urban expenditure were to continue. So that again is quite helpful, and probably for FY 25-26, when the new series, if it gets applied, that could help headline inflation to go down.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.